Tonight, medication mix-up.
We went down to the emergency room as soon as we could.
One family's frightening experience after a mistake at a local pharmacy lands their daughter in the ER. Also tonight, sacred items stolen.
They have been a part of the fabric of this community for many generations.
What was pilfered from a Winnipeg place of worship. Plus, getting around, getting easier.
Maybe I don't need all these things, but other people in wheelchairs certainly can use them.
How one man is working to make Manitoba a little more accessible.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A medication mess-up caused a 10-year-old Winnipeg girl to overdose. She was rushed to hospital after taking medication that was much higher than the dosage her doctor prescribed. And tonight, her parents are placing the blame on the local Shoppers Drug Mart that filled the prescription. CTV's Jeff Keel is standing by live in studio with the details. Jeff, what dosage was this girl given?
20 milligram tablets, but she was prescribed 2 milligrams, so she ended up ingesting 10 times the amount she was supposed to take. Andrea Thidrickson and Kevin Barkley say their 10-year-old daughter overdosed because a local pharmacy gave her a wrong dose.
We already know that the dosage received should have never been given to a child.
While staying with a family friend last week, the girl was given a pill from her bottle of medication that she routinely takes. The friend noticed the girl was not her normal energetic self afterwards.
She was basically zonked out for the entire day and lethargic.
The next morning, their daughter took a second pill, but this time she became very ill and started throwing up.
Our family friend sent me a picture. I did not recognize the pill.
That's because the parents say the pill the pharmacy dispensed was 20 milligrams, 10 times the 2 milligram dose prescribed by their doctor.
That was the panic, instant panic.
Yeah.
Like,
we knew that was a
my
big
heart
dose.
just dropped. Yeah.
Calls to Poison Control and their pediatrician sent them to the Children's Emergency Department. The diagnosis from the hospital report, an unintentional overdose because she was dispensed 20 milligram tablets, 10 times greater than her prescribed dose of 2 milligrams. The parents say the incorrect dose came from the Shoppers Drug Mart pharmacy at Dominion Centre. Shoppers' parent company, Loblaw, sent CTV News this statement. "Thank you for bringing this matter to our attention. We take it very seriously and have launched a thorough investigation with our pharmacy incident team. We are in contact with the associate owner of this location and are in the process of contacting the family." The parents say they did receive an apology from the pharmacy owner, but they want a review to prevent this from happening again.
It's not a little mistake, and something bigger needs to happen.
The College of Pharmacists of Manitoba says pharmacies are required to report medication mistakes and put a plan in place to prevent future errors. Carolyn Hoffman with the Institute for Safe Medication Practices Canada says 750 million prescriptions are dispensed in Canada every year.
The actual reported medication errors is low for that volume. Unfortunately, a small number do result in harm.
According to ISMP, the college reported 1,300 medication mishaps or near misses from October 2024 to March 2025 in Manitoba, with 1 case of severe harm, 6 resulting in moderate harm, and 96 cases of mild harm. In this case, the girl fully recovered, but her parents worry this could have been worse.
Even the emergency room doctor had said, had this been a few more days, it would have been a very different story for the outcome.
The College of Pharmacists of Manitoba says if a patient is not satisfied with the response from a pharmacy over a medication error, they can file a complaint with the college.
Jeff, is there any advice for parents on how to prevent these types of errors?
Yeah, the Institute for Safe Medication Practices Canada says, when you go to the pharmacy, pretty basic. Talk to the staff. Ask them if they know what medications you are taking. Ask them about the medication, the dosage, especially if it's for a child because they are at higher risk.
All right, thanks for the tips, Jeff. New details tonight in the disappearance of a Norwegian hiker who's believed to have been swept away by a fast-moving river in the far north. Searchers have now recovered Stefan Schiltelvik's backpack and a rifle he was carrying on the shore of the Hayes River east of York Factory. Now, this is according to RCMP and a representative for his family. Mounties also say his GPS device gave out its last coordinates Thursday afternoon on the East Shore, about 4.5 kilometers from York Factory. The family spokesperson says Shetelvik has been preparing for this trek across northern Canada for more than a year.
What I can say is that this is his big dream. It has been a goal he has been aiming to reach for a long time. He's been in his last conversation with the family Wednesday last week, leaving the last known position. He was happy, he was satisfied, he was having a lot of supplies with him for the last part of the journey.
Mounties say teams are continuing to search downriver but are not sending in divers until they can narrow down the search area. Some more encouraging news tonight in the wildfire fight. The province says 6 large fires are no longer considered out of control. Now, this includes the 359,000 hectare fire in Nopaming Provincial Park, the fire east of Cross Lake, and the one surrounding Leaf Rapids. The province-wide state of emergency is also due to expire tomorrow, and the province says it will once again begin issuing burn permits. Additionally, Wekusko Falls Provincial Park near Snow Lake is set to reopen for seasonal campers tomorrow at noon. A late-night visitor at All Saints Anglican Church was looking for more than some spiritual guidance. Winnipeg police say someone smashed through a stained glass window of the nearly 100-year-old church and stole the silverware used for Mass. As CTV's Danton Unger reports, the theft has left a gaping hole in the congregation.
Here's where the rock was thrown through the window.
Reverend Rob Scheck says it happened in the early morning hours of July 30th at the All Saints Anglican Church on the corner of Broadway and Osborne. Using a large rock, Scheck says the thief, or thieves, smashed through this nearly 100-year-old stained glass window and climbed in.
It was here where they were able to gain access to our silver.
Opening the cabinet and making off with the church's silverware, including its sacramental cup and plate used in weekly Mass.
Those pieces that had been part of the every week, every day fabric of this community are no more.
While the damage to the window has cost the church about $3,000, Scheck says the loss of these silver pieces, some of which have been here for generations, is immeasurable.
Just the weight of the loss.
The Winnipeg Police Service's Major Crimes Unit is investigating and on Thursday put out a call for the public's help.
At this point in the investigation, we need more information.
Police released these images of the stolen items in hopes that someone will recognize them and contact investigators.
There's a lot of religious inscription and lettering that are on there, so they are very noticeable. So anybody who would come or have their hands on them or come across their path would know that it belonged to, of course, a church.
Scheck says at first this theft left him feeling violated, frustrated, and angry, but now he and his congregation have had a change of heart.
Finding ways to support the person that felt that they needed to do something like this out of that place of desperation.
Though he's still hopeful that what was once lost may still be found. They
may just show up one day on the front steps, and we would be eternally grateful and thankful to God for those items to be back.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Anyone who has information about that theft is asked to call the Major Crimes Unit. The number is up on your screen now. You can also make an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers. There was a bit of cleaning and mopping up today following a destructive overnight storm. In Assiniboine Park, lightning struck the residential school totem pole. The top of the pole was damaged with debris scattered on the ground. The totem pole was erected in 2022 by the Southern Chiefs organization. It's 21 meters tall and carved from a massive West Coast tree. SCO and Assiniboine Park Conservancy are assessing the damage. Access around the pole is now restricted due to safety concerns. The heavy rain also forced the cancellation of the opening round of the Manitoba Open Golf Tournament today. Big puddles, as you can see, riddled Breezy Bend Golf Course in Headingley. Some of the best up-and-coming golfers are competing in one of the oldest pro golf tournaments in North America. Play is expected to resume tomorrow morning. Fingers crossed. Colleen Brady is going to join us now and give us a first look at our Skywatch evening forecast. What are you tracking, Colleen?
Well, we're not going to have another round of overnight thunderstorms here in Winnipeg. So if you didn't sleep well last night, I was in that column, you will likely have a better night's sleep ahead. But if you are east of Winnipeg, there are thunderstorms that are moving across northwestern Ontario. All those areas are under a severe thunderstorm watch, as are some areas over the border back here into Manitoba, including Lac du Bonny. So there is the potential for storms to develop tonight that could become severe there. Meanwhile, that low pressure system affecting northern regions continues to hammer these areas with an awful lot of rain, including Lynn Lake, Thompson, Gillam and Shamattawa under an outright rainfall warning. I'll show you how much rain is still expected to fall yet with this system, and a look ahead at how much rain fell with those thunderstorms coming through last night. The amounts vary and some are outright staggering. Let's take a look right now through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, the calm after the storm, 26 degrees. It is humid out there. Winds out of the northwest at 29 kilometers an hour. The pressure is rising, and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 62%.
Thanks, Colleen. Mounties say a man is dead after his boat capsized in Lake Winnipeg. RCMP say the boat, but not its operator, was discovered approximately 2 kilometers northwest of Bolson Harbor Marina. That's on the east shore, not far from Grand Beach. RCMP, the local fire department, Canadian Coast Guard, and underwater recovery teams were sent in to search. About 2 hours later, Mounties say the body of a 77-year-old man was pulled from the water. He was wearing a life jacket. The investigation continues. The cost to search a landfill north of Winnipeg for the remains of 2 First Nations women ended up being just a fraction of what was originally projected. The province says the search of Prairie Green landfill for Morgan Harris and Mercedes Myron, which officially wrapped up last month, cost around $18 million, which is well below the high estimate of $184 million initially put forward by the previous PC government, and the revised estimate of $90 million in a report by the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. The Premier also revealed last week a preliminary search of Brady landfill for the remains of a third woman, Ashley Shingoose, are now underway. All 3 died in 2022 at the hands of a Winnipeg serial killer who put their remains in dumpsters. A Winnipeg man is working hard to link Manitobans living with disabilities to the resources they need. He spent years developing a website that does just that. CTV's Joseph Bernacki shows you why George Lowen has a personal stake in this project.
George Lowen's life changed forever 6 years ago after a spinal cord injury left him an incomplete quadriplegic. But that didn't stop him from enjoying a good bike ride.
I still need to get out here, see Dr. Nature. Yes, you bet.
This bike trail in St. Boniface is just one of many Lowen uses regularly. A 2019 mountain bike accident left him wondering what he was still capable of doing.
When you're paralyzed, you don't know what you can do, right? Slowly realizing after 2 years I can get on a 3-wheeler, 4-wheeler type of a bike and get back out and get on the trails again.
Lowen said finding the resources he needed was challenging. Everything from health care to an accessible pool and even pottery classes. He started with a poster asking the community for tips, but he evolved the idea into a website, a much faster way to connect.
There's 550 plus entries on the site. Pretty much this finger's done everything. I've had some help, a lot of help from other developers, and it's been a process of 3.5 years.
His website, Wheelchair Adventures Manitoba, offers listings of accessible trails, places, and activities. Manitoba Possible, a nonprofit organization, helps those living with disabilities every day. Staff say an online resource like this is invaluable.
It's really people with lived experience that can tell us what is truly accessible. So the more resources we have, the more information that's gathered is really going to help people identify those public spaces, trails, venues.
What keeps Lowen going? A love of the world outside his front steps. Staying active motivates him to keep encouraging others to never give up.
If there's anything we can do, through the website to get other people to just get outside or get moving, or whether you do indoor activities, outdoor activities, whatever you do, just keep going.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg's largest urban reserve takes another big step forward.
To an economic asset that's going to grow.
Ottawa steps up to the table with new funding. How much cash is being spent to help the next phase of development? Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil added 81 cents. The loonie slipped just below 72 cents U.S. Gold futures lost nearly $7. The TSX jumped 176 points. The Dow Jones and Nasdaq fell 152 and 72 points, respectively. A holding company owned by David Thompson of Thomson Reuters is looking to buy the Royal Charter, which formed the Hudson Bay. According to some new court filings, the company is offering at least $50 million for the charter, which would then be donated to the Archives of Manitoba. Hudson Bay had previously announced it would seek court approval next month to sell the charter for $12.5 million to a holding company belonging to the Weston family, who had intended to donate it to the Canadian Museum of History. The court filing suggests the Weston's bid serves as a minimum bid. The charter was issued by King Charles II and gave the Bay rights to a vast swath of land spanning most of Canada and extraordinary power over trade for decades. Ottawa and Treaty 1 First Nations have agreed to move forward on the development of Canada's largest urban reserve.
I see this as that first step forward for something that could be extremely, extremely huge for this community.
Today, Indigenous Services Minister Mandy Gull-Maisty visited Nawe-Odena, a joint urban reserve project and home to a new gas and convenience store. Gull-Maisty announced additional funding of almost $800,000 for the next phase of the development. It will include residential, commercial, education, cultural, health, and community spaces.
These lands were once owned by the Crown. We need to remember that. Lands that were basically stolen from our people that are now being transformed to an economic asset that's going to grow and be a source of pride and income and resources for Treaty 1 First Nations and people for generations and generations to come.
This latest funding brings total federal investment in the project to about $5.5 million. The urban reserve is comprised of 109 acres of land on the former site of Capion Barracks. One day after an end to the Air Canada strike and with more aircraft taking off, CTV News has been hearing from passengers. They're telling us they're frustrated by what they see as Air Canada's inability and apparent unwillingness to book them on the next available flight home. CTV's Adrian Gabriel has more on the complaints and the failure of regulations to protect consumers.
The Britton family's European summer adventure ended with their scheduled flight home with Air Canada canceled.
It felt like at every step of the way, instead of trying to provide a solution, it was, you can have a refund. Please have a refund. And we knew that that was really just a way of them absolving themselves of the responsibility.
According to the Canadian Transportation Agency's regulations, if an airline can't rebook you on their airline following a cancellation, a customer may choose a reservation from the next available flight that is operated by any carrier. The Britons found the next available tickets on a United flight from Italy to Kelowna. Air Canada declined to book them.
They said they didn't have access to it.
Stuck in Lisbon, Kyla Kumar also reached out to CTV News after Air Canada refused to rebook her family on a Delta flight home.
Very clear refusal to book us on another carrier.
CTV News also received an audio recording of an Air Canada agent refusing to rebook a customer because there was only a business class seat available.
You are required to put me in that space.
That is something you can take up with customer relations to see why is that not being offered, because on our end we have to maintain the same cabin.
If only business class seats are available on next available flight, they have to rebook you.
Passenger advocates say Air Canada is knowingly breaking federal regulations for financial gain.
There is sufficient ground here to lay criminal charges.
Somebody should be doing an outreach to the CTA and say, okay, guys, how are you going to handle this one?
CTV News did ask the Canadian Transportation Agency what they're doing to hold Air Canada responsible for breaking federal passenger protection regulations. The CTA didn't directly answer the question, saying in part that their enforcement team is actively looking into the situation and will take appropriate action as necessary.
The CTA is supposed to be the regulatory body that protects Canadian citizens. And again, these things happen. And there's really been no improvements.
CTV News has given Air Canada 2 days to respond to our questions. They've yet to return our email. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
The Crown will not appeal the acquittals of 5 former members of Canada's 2018 World Junior Hockey Team. A lawyer for one of the men says he's been informed of the decision. All 5 were acquitted of sexual assault following a trial in London. The judge found the complainant's testimony was not credible or reliable and said there were troubling aspects in how she delivered some of her evidence. The defense called the ruling a resounding vindication, while the complainant's lawyer called it devastating. The UN is calling for an immediate ceasefire as Israel presses ahead with its plan to take control of Gaza City.
It is vital to reach immediately a ceasefire in Gaza and the unconditional release of all hostages, and to avoid the massive deaths and destruction that a military operation against Gaza City would inevitably cause.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's shortening the timeline for seizing what he calls the last terror strongholds in Gaza. The threat of this new ground offensive has thousands of Palestinians packing their belongings and fleeing the war-torn country, part of which is already under constant bombardment. Russian President Vladimir Putin has reportedly revealed his list of demands to end the war, and it includes Ukraine giving up territory.
When you validate or legitimize force being used to change the borders of a state in the 21st century, this only then legitimizes further changing of borders by force.
According to sources close to the Kremlin, Putin wants Ukraine to cede all of the eastern Donbass region, renounce any ambitions to join NATO, and keep Western troops out of the country. The White House is taking aim at judges on the International Criminal Court, including Canadian Judge Kimberly Prost.
Judicial independence is a basic principle that must be respected. And these types of measures undermine the foundation of international justice.
Prost, who is a graduate of the University of Manitoba Law School, has been slapped with sanctions by the Trump administration for ruling to authorize the court's investigation into U.S. personnel in Afghanistan. Judges from Fiji, France, and Senegal have also been sanctioned. Sanctions against those judges stem from the ICC's decision to investigate Israel's actions in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. These sanctions freeze any assets the judges have in the U.S. The ICC responded saying it deplores the sanctions. The U.S. State Department is calling the ICC a national security threat and an instrument for lawfare against U.S. and Israel. Steinbach is celebrating the opening of a new venue to enjoy live performances, sporting events, and art exhibitions.
People walk into that concourse and just go, oh, like, are we still in Steinbach?
The Southeast Events Center hosted its first event in the Arena Bowl back in March, but because of construction, it didn't get full access to more areas of the facility until this week. Today, though, it invited the community for a free grand opening celebration. The facility features 2 indoor ice surfaces, a 4,000-person concert venue and event venue, a gymnasium with 2 courts, a walking track, children's play zone, and a restaurant.
This is so built by the community for the community, and it will continue to do that. And every dollar spent in this building goes back into the building.
The space is expected to attract curling tournaments, trade shows, and other large-scale events. The $75 million center is a partnership between the City of Steinbach, Southeast Events Group, and the government's Investing in Canada infrastructure program. A controversy is brewing after an armed intruder broke into a man's home, and the homeowner was charged by police.
Something is broken. I know if someone breaks into my house or someone else's, you're going to fight.
Why police say the homeowner was charged and what Canadians are legally allowed to do in this situation.
Well, you may prefer temperatures starting to cool down a bit. It depends what your preference is. If you are in that camp, perhaps you'll like the weekend forecast. Mix of sun and clouds Saturday and Sunday with highs in the upper teens, 18 Saturday, 19 on Sunday. Then we start to ramp back up into those higher summertime temperatures. So a little bit of something for everyone. Peaking Wednesday with a hot high of 27 degrees in the sun.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
Filling up your gas tank this year is costing you about $8 more than it did before the province put the gas tax back in place. This is according to the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, which just released its annual gas tax report. For an average family of two, the organization says this works out to about $555 more than last summer. In all, the report shows 29 cents of each liter of gas is going to tax, or about 22%, which, according to the report, is actually the lowest rate in the country.
You know, we've seen the Manitoba government many times say they want to commit to make life more affordable, but in this year, Manitobans have faced two different tax hikes. We've seen the gas tax go up to 12.5 cents per litre, as well as the government also hiked income taxes through getting rid of bracket creep. So we're also saying that if the government wants to make good on its commitment to cut taxes, a good place to start is something that worked really great in 2024 is to bring that fuel tax back down.
The figures are based on an average fuel price of $1.34 a litre, which was the price when this data was compiled last month. Manitoba has won another medal at the Canada Games in Newfoundland. Portage La Prairie's Soren Wesselake cycled his way to a gold medal Wednesday in men's mountain biking. It's actually his second medal of the Games. He nabbed a bronze in the time trials earlier. Now, no finals today for Team Manitoba as athletes are busy competing in several sports, including round 3 of golf, artistic swimming, diving, wrestling, and much more. Manitoba will look to improve in the final round of golf, where they sit 6th in men's, 8th in team, and 18th in women's. Team Manitoba has 18 medals so far.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Rainfall totals. I bet you're wondering how much fell over Winnipeg and a lot of other communities that saw those thunderstorms rip through. Well, here's your answer from Environment Canada. Winnipeg was a big range. Now, they have stations both at the Forks and at the airport. Both of those weather stations reporting 22 millimeters, but a whopping 138 millimeters of rain fell in the Charleswood area. These are some communities that had some of the higher amounts. By no means an exhaustive list, but look at this. Fanny-Stell, 119 millimeters. Oakville, 115. Portage La Prairie, 100. And as you can see, as that list goes on, a lot of areas were just absolutely soaked. Many other communities got an awful lot of rain as those thunderstorms moved through. As I mentioned earlier, if you didn't get much sleep because of those storms roaring through overnight, you will sleep better tonight because conditions have settled down considerably, at least in the Winnipeg area. Now, there is a cold front actually passing through. It has been very hot, very humid, but it's also been very windy. If you've noticed those gusty northwest winds, that's a cold front, and there is the potential for that cold front to slice into that hot, humid air mass and trigger severe thunderstorms. Now, we already have thunderstorms that are crossing northwestern Ontario. They will move out of the region before too long, but until then, Environment Canada has put northwestern Ontario under a severe thunderstorm watch. Same thing back over the border into Manitoba. These areas in the southeast, including places like Pinawa, Sprague, Lac du Bonny. There is the potential for thunderstorms to develop at least early this evening that could become severe, so keep your eyes on the skies in those communities. Further north, we have that potent low pressure system that continues to just pelt these areas in the north with an awful lot of rain. Total rainfall amount still expected to come in anywhere from 50 to 70 millimeters by late tomorrow night, but you'll see some of that rain will linger even into Saturday. I'll show you that in the future cast right now. You can see that rain just keeps on coming and coming through the overnight hours. Meanwhile, down here in the south, the sky will clear. Thunderstorms and showers move well off to the east. More rain as you get into Friday morning. Sunshine across the south. Temperatures won't be nearly as hot as they have been over the last few days. It won't be quite as humid. You see that rain continuing to come down across the north. Starts to push down further south. Outside chance we could catch a shower or two here in the southeast late in the afternoon. Overnight we go into Saturday. Still some rain associated with that system for the northeast and some areas a little further to the south in a more scattered fashion, and into the weekend we go. For tonight for Winnipeg, skies clearing down to 13 degrees. Winds out of the northwest at 20. Now around 3-4 in the morning they'll start to shift, and then they will strengthen again as we get a little later on in the day. But for the commute, southwest winds at 20, mainly sunny in the morning, 15 degrees up to 21 degrees. Again, a low chance of showers, still worth a mention, but strong and gusty west winds. Heavy rain coming down tonight in Gillam and Thompson under that rainfall warning. Churchill, you see the rain get to you late tonight. It will continue in those areas tomorrow. By tomorrow afternoon, Island Lake, that rain will get to you. Heavy rain and strong northeast winds for Lynn Lynn Lake down to 10 degrees there. Flin Flon, OCN, and the Paw expect showers to start overnight. They will spread into Norway House tomorrow morning. In the southwest tonight, clearing skies. All areas down to around 7 degrees, including Brandon and Dauphin. And then tomorrow, Brandon and Neepawa, mix of sun and cloud, up to 20 there. A little cloudier through Dauphin and Swan River, 19 degrees in your communities. Here in the southeast tonight, showers or thunderstorms possible for areas east of Winnipeg. Those skies will clear out later on this evening, as will the rest of the region, including Winnipeg. Overnight lows between 11 and 13. Mix of sun and cloud across the region tomorrow. Temperatures in the low 20s. The chance of showers is a little greater outside of the Winnipeg area. And in northwestern Ontario, those showers and thunderstorms will move out this evening. There's a chance of showers tomorrow with highs around 23 and 25. Now, Brent sent this photo, and this was the light show near Lorette when those thunderstorms roared through overnight. Great shot there. Now, Carly got this photo. It's really cool. It's out at Grand Beach. She captured the storm on one side of the photo and the sunset on the other. Great shot. Send us yours to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. A home invasion in Lindsay, Ontario is generating a debate surrounding use of force and self-defense. A man was charged for allegedly attacking an intruder in his apartment in the middle of the night. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
In this town of 22,000 people northeast of Toronto, many here are only talking about two.
I heard, what happened to, Jeremy upstairs, and, from what I understand, someone, broke into his place while he was sleeping, and they attacked him, and he defended himself.
It all happened in the unit above Jesse Kalabik's tattoo shop early Monday morning. Police say they were called to this apartment for a report of an altercation. They say the resident, identified in court documents as Jeremy McDonald, woke up and found an intruder in his home. A fight ensued, and the alleged intruder, identified as Michael Kyle Breen, was airlifted to a Toronto hospital with serious injuries.
I think what he did was justified. There's a lot of, controversy going on right now.
The controversy erupted after police charged both men. McDonald faces aggravated assault and assault with a weapon charges. Court documents suggest a knife was involved. Breen faces various charges, including possession of a weapon, break and enter, and failing to comply with probation.
Something is broken. I know if someone breaks into my house or someone else's, you're going to fight for your life. This guy has a weapon. You're going to use any force you possibly can to protect your family.
Kawartha Police, which laid the charges, defended their decision. Under Canadian law, individuals have the right to defend themselves and their property. However, it is important to understand that these rights are not unlimited in Canada. The law requires that any defensive action be proportionate to the threat faced.
We really need to know the details of what happened inside that home.
Defense attorney Joseph Newberger says it's too early to know exactly what happened inside the apartment, and says Canada does have self-defense laws despite the misinformation circulating online.
We do have sufficient self-defense laws that are broad enough that if an individual comes in with a knife or a gun and you are at serious risk of bodily harm or death, you can respond with lethal force.
Court documents show there was an arrest warrant out for Breen, the alleged intruder, at the time of this incident. Once he's released from hospital, he will be held in custody pending a bail hearing. Meanwhile, McDonald will be in court at the end of September. Heather Wright, CTV News, Lindsay, Ontario.
We do, in a way, encourage some of this content being put up.
In their own words, still ahead, court exhibits shine a light on what executives with TikTok think about the effect their platform has on mental health.
Get Winnipeg's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
2025 will go down as the largest wildfire response operation in Canadian Red Cross recent history. The scale and complexity surpassing the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And joining me now to talk more about the latest data and what it could mean for future wildfire seasons is Conrad Suave, President and CEO of the Canadian Red Cross. Conrad, so good to speak with you.
Pleasure to be here.
First, can you give us an idea of just how large this year's response has been in terms of personnel, equipment, operations?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think today we're the 89th day of consecutive response this season, to give you a bit of an idea. So we've been busy really all summer. And you've mentioned it, it's the scale of the response. So over 52,000 people we've registered for support. We booked over 200,000 hotel room nights in this. Over 1,400 personnel, the Red Cross, been deployed to support these operations. But you said scale and also complexity, because these are many fires hitting, as you know, of course, mostly northern part, many remote communities. We've chartered over 815 flights to evacuate some 10,000 people. And this has been a summer of evacuation. So, unfortunately, some communities had to evacuate, return, evacuate again a few times. So this gives you a bit of the size and complexity. We opened up a congregate shelter for over 3,000 in Winnipeg. So this has been an extremely busy summer, and it's not over because we're still present, of course, in Manitoba, but we're also present in Newfoundland, responding to and supporting people that are being evacuated there, again, for fires. And of course, this has been in Saskatchewan and Ontario this summer. So an extremely busy summer.
How does the scale of this year's wildfire response compare to the response your organization had to the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think it's the scale and the complexity of supporting people that have been evacuated. This is really what's been challenging. And, you take what we're seeing more and more, and, one of the key messages for us here is that these are no longer exceptional events. I mean, we're seeing this. We need to be prepared for this. But you have wildfires now of this size, a season of wildfires in the summer, and at a time where it's often peak tourist season, where you don't have the availability of hotel rooms as much. So this is a little bit of the challenge and the difference. But the number of personnel engaged, and again, we've compared, so all the numbers are higher than our response during COVID. But the season, the year's not over, actually. So this is a new reality.
How challenging has it been to meet the support needed at this wide scale?
I think it's very challenging, and but again, if we have to respond, and I have to say, first of all, there's great collaboration with all levels of government in responding, and everybody's very engaged. But I think we have to move from reacting to being better prepared and expect these types of events. You can't prevent these events from happening, but realizing that they will happen, and at this scale they will happen again, would it help us being better prepared? Because we can't just improvise in terms of creating these congregate shelters. We need to look or expect that there'll be hotel rooms. So we need to better plan, look if there's other ways we can accommodate people, build the scenarios that, again, these things will happen. Because the challenge, of course, is you compress time and you're in a reaction, it's going to be harder to meet all the needs and all the special needs of everybody in a timely way, and it creates tremendous amount of pressure on your staff and volunteers. So we need to change a little bit and to understand again that these events are going to be recurring, and we need to be better prepared.
Well, Conrad, I want to thank you for the update tonight. It was great speaking with you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Newly unsealed video from a lawsuit against TikTok offers a startling glimpse of candid discussions inside the company. The clips from internal meetings show employees expressing concern about the potential harm of the app on young users' mental health.
Unfortunately, some of the stuff that people find interesting are not always the most healthy. So I think we do in a way encourage some of this content being put up.
We obviously wanted people to spend as much time as possible on TikTok, which can be in contrast to what is best for your mental health.
The remarks and the unsealed clips don't track with TikTok's public statements. The company has said it believes its platform is safe for young people. A TikTok spokesperson called the video misleading. Several U.S. states are suing the company, saying it preys on young people with addictive algorithms. A new study finds cats and humans develop dementia in similar ways, offering hope for Alzheimer's research. Scientists found amyloid beta buildup in cats' brains, the same protein linked to human dementia. Symptoms in cats include memory loss, confusion, and behavior changes, mirroring what happens in people. Experts say studying feline dementia could lead to better treatments for both pets and humans.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
Peanuts, Cracker Jacks, and maybe a milk bone? We will have the details on some weekend fun for the whole family, including the furry members. That's coming up next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Led Zepp again, the premier tribute.
Baseball and hot dogs go hand in hand, but what about baseball and regular dogs? The 8th annual Bark in the Park is this Saturday afternoon at Blue Cross Park when the Gold Eyes take on the Lincoln Salt Dogs. Bark in the Park is a special dog-friendly game where fans are invited to bring their dogs. Gold Eyes players will wear special jerseys that will be auctioned off, with proceeds going to the Gold Eyes Field of Dreams Foundation. The first 750 dogs through the gates will get a complimentary treat bag, and proceeds from the 50-50 draw go to the Winnipeg Pet Rescue Shelter. Ticket packages include a seat for one dog and one owner. Dog owners must sign a registration form. Visit goldeyes.com for more information. Country star Morgan Wallen says he won't be submitting his music for consideration for the 2026 Grammys. Wallen's album, The Problem, is expected to claim the title of the year's best-selling album by far. The singer's team didn't say why they weren't submitting, although his music hasn't gotten a lot of love from the Recording Academy to date, with one nomination last year. Toronto's own The Weeknd spent a few years boycotting the Grammys, citing concerns about transparency and how decisions around the awards are made. Director Ron Howard has long been drawn to real-life stories, but his latest film, based on a true story, might not be what you'd expect from the Oscar-winning director.
What brings you to Floriana? Why, you did. Your story inspired us to leave everything behind to start anew.
Eden is based on the bizarre true story of 9 disillusioned Europeans who attempt to start anew on the Galapagos Islands following the First World War. What results is a cat-and-mouse game fueled by betrayal and distrust. Howard says the nearly 100-year-old story still resonates today.
One of the most searched phrases on the internet is off the grid. People are beginning to wonder, you know, is this the best place for me? Is modern society, you know, where I want to spend the rest of my life? Here's an object lesson. People lived it.
Eden opens in U.S. theaters tomorrow. It's unclear when it might be coming to Canada. Your primetime lineup starts at 7 with back-to-back episodes of The Big Bang Theory. Then at 8, it's The Rookie, with more Big Bang Theory at 10 and E-Talk at 10:30.
They're going to be threaded on to all of these hairs.
Bison Teachings, how a sculpture living prairie museum will help change Winnipeg's landscape.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Tonight, a mom's warning after a devastating loss.
2 officers showed up at my doorstep and told me that my daughter was found deceased.
And what ChatGPT wrote to her daughter before she took her own life. That story and more later on CTV National News.
26 degrees in Winnipeg with a humidex. It feels like 31. Winds out of the northwest at about 26 kilometers an hour. Mix of sun and cloud, and 26 was the highest temperature of the day. The record, though, set on this day, 1931, 37.8 degrees. Tonight, no repeat of last night's overnight storms, clearing down to 13 overnight. 21 on Friday, mix of sun and cloud, windy too, west winds picking up. There's a low chance of late afternoon showers. The weekend, 18, 19 degrees Saturday, Sunday, under a mix of sun and cloud. Sunshine for the first half of next week, Marilee, and the temperatures keep warming up one day after the next, up to 27 on Wednesday.
Thanks, Colleen. A unique sculpture is taking shape at Living Prairie Museum, and it's helping teach visitors about the role bison play in the world around us.
As they go, they change the whole landscape. They will dig at the soil. They will make room for new plants to grow.
Did you know bison transport seeds in their fur to new places where the plants will one day grow? That's what Living Prairie Museum visitors are helping to create. They are shaping clay beads that contain seeds grown at the museum with guidance from two-spirit artists and educator Britt Ross. The beads will then be attached to the sculpture, which will be part of an exhibit at St. Boniface Hospital Gallery before being moved into an outside garden later this fall.
As the rain and the snow and the weather slowly dissolve that clay, those seeds are going to flow down into the soil and create a new little prairie patch.
You can help create the sculpture at Living Prairie Museum now, right through to the beginning of September. A workshop is also planned at the Buehler Gallery for September 25th. The exhibit tending to the wild runs September 11th to November 15th. Pretty cool.
Very interesting, yeah.
All right, that does it for us this hour. But enjoy your evening. No rain, at least tonight.
Yeah,
so
sleep better overnight tonight, folks.
We could all use a good sleep.
Yeah.
Especially those with animals that are scared of the storms. All right, have a good one. We'll see you back here tomorrow.